All right, we are here with Katrina Bello with Gubat at M Galleries PNA. Hi, Katrina.
Hi.
Hey, so do you want to just share a little bit about your background as an artist?
Sure. Well, first of all, thank you so much, Greg, for this opportunity to share this body of work with M Galleries. It's
my pleasure.
It's really quite an honor, and
thank you.
And it's this particular body of work, the location, and not only the location, the space itself, but also the natural surroundings.
Yeah, the Pohakong Native Arboretum. Yeah.
Yeah. So to start with my background, I am a visual artist based in New Jersey. I'm originally from the Philippines, and my medium is drawing. Although a lot of you'll be seeing here in the exhibition is painting.
Yeah.
My current practice is in drawing, but my subject has remained the same, which is like natural surroundings, in particular trees, forests. There's also a lot of like rocks and bark in my work, and the subjects I'm really interested in are just like our human complex relationship with the natural world. So in the show, what I have are works that I call early works. I made them between 2010 to 2016. And these works were kind of made between my BFA and when I went to grad school. So I did my my bachelor's at Rutgers, and I went to grad school at the Maryland Institute. And
nice.
So that's my background as far as education. But I also, don't know if I mentioned, I'm also originally from the Philippines.
Right.
I also went to college over there.
Oh, okay.
And a lot of my work has been influenced also by my experience of the natural surroundings of my native country. So,
very good.
So that's my background.
Excellent. So do you want to talk about this piece behind you?
Oh, this piece is one of the pieces that I made right after grad school. And it is, this piece is acrylic on panel. And it's my imagination of what it's like to remember certain trees in my native country that I can't find here. So I'm trying to find analogies between my experience of like trees in the forest back in the Philippines and over here. So I know there's many differences, but for me it's more of the feel of these arboretums in the two different continents or countries. So.
Well, in your statement you said that there was you found similarities, right, between here and there, or no, or was it very different between the?
It was different. It's like I'm really more focused on my access to the forests. It's for me. I have more, interestingly, here in the United States, which what I love about this country is that we have like a national forest service. We have an amazing Bureau of Land Management. Forests here are protected, and in growing up in the Philippines, like just having access to forests, it's really not easy. Like it's really you would have to have like sort of all these resources to be able to go to forests and spend time with it and hike and not feel in danger. Like here, there's like this whole system of a national park system where people can actually explore and enjoy these lands, and it's owned by everybody. And it's only here that I actually truly was able to experience these forests and have the freedom and feel safe, and not have to count on like a family member to drive me or like be to escort me in the woods in the Philippines. So it's just an interest for me. It's the access, the relationship, and feeling safe. So it's I just hope that one day I will going back to the Philippines, that I will have that same security and ability to explore the forests that we have there.
Yeah, so it's very appropriate being in an arboretum, right? Something similar to this, like a protected natural space. Right?
We unfortunately we don't have as much protection for forests we have there.
Yeah.
So many of like the primary rainforests are gone in a lot of Philippines is one of them, in a lot of Southeast Asian countries. So I really don't know how much it's actually dwindled. There's not much. I mean, logging is very rampant there. I mean, here logging is also rampant. There's so much resistance to from the population.
Sure.
When federal lands are being encroached upon, there'll be a big protest. And in the Philippines, a lot of it like goes really covertly, and people don't know about it. We just end up losing a lot of our green spaces there. So.
Right. Well, can you unpack the title Gubat?
Oh, Gubat is it means forest in Filipino. So it's I don't know if it also refers to wilderness. I have to make sure of that, but it really means woodland.
Yeah. Well, I actually, when I Googled the word, for some reason it came up translated to war.
Really?
Yeah. I was like, it was in like Google Translate, and it was kind of both. Like it was either war or forest.
Really?
Yeah.
I also did Google Translate. Did you translate it by audio or spelling?
Oh, it was text. So yeah,
interesting. Because I tried to Google it too, because I wondered if there are any maybe any words, if it's also a word that's found in Japan or in, but it only came up.
It said Filipino when on the translate, so it was interesting. I was like, I wonder if it can mean both, war and forest. I guess it kind of makes sense because war or nature is there's a lot of warring things in nature, so maybe some element of that. Anyway.
No, I'm curious.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about that.
No, because our word for war is like the Spanish word guerra.
Okay, yes, right. Okay.
Yeah, so they're similar. There's a few letters there shared.
Well, not that Google Translate's perfect or anything, but it was interesting seeing that. So, do you want to talk about this the drawing behind you, this large one here?
Oh, this one. This is one of my first large drawings of trees and forests. This and the other big drawing that's adjacent to it. These are my very first large drawings. These are the drawings that led to the drawings that I'm doing now.
Oh wow!
So I did this much early on. I think this is 2012. That's 2011. This could have been started at 2010. And then between these two, I painted in between, I made small drawings, but I always thought of these two drawings. And eventually I stopped painting and then went back to large drawings on paper. But these drawings, they were, I can't really remember what I was thinking back then, but they just, much more than painting, for me that I had this more freedom with working on paper than I did with painting. So
interesting.
So I was painting several years after.
So you feel like the drawing is freer than painting?
Yeah, it is definitely much more freer to me. Also because I went to grad school for painting, and it was heavily the subject of our critiques, and where secretly I was drawing on the side. It wasn't really part of critiques, but it was so big that I had it in my studio that everybody was asking, like, why aren't these in the critiques? So I just wasn't ready to talk.
Thinking about the subject matter, it feels like it makes more sense on paper anyway, right? If it's trees, like it's very meta. It's a tree on a tree.
It's tree on a tree.
So I don't know if that was any kind of thought, but I was like, that's interesting. That maybe that's why it makes more sense for you to use paper. Or do you feel like?
But they were also so big too.
What's that?
They were also so big.
Yeah, and you get the scale easier,
the scale,
right, of a tree in the image, right?
Yeah. it was it was the only one that allowed me to be able to work in that scale, kind of to also translate the sense of being in a forest or being with these big trees. So drawing kind of afforded me that. Whereas when I was painting and in these sizes, they're just so careful, like these very. I did a lot of masking. It's I was just so self-conscious of
like material.
Not only material, but everybody that I was studying and painting. Like I was like professors or listening to or artists I was looking at, and honestly, I don't really know who the artist that I was actually thinking of back then when I was making these.
Yeah, it kind of goes away, right? After years, you know, the source thought.
I think it was just probably hiking and just being in nature. That really was my biggest source, or what I was really thinking about, just like the feel of being in that natural environment.
Well, this one is interesting in that there's this like wound, you know, up top here, the yellow part. That's how I kind of see it. It's like this like cut off part. So is that like what was the thought behind the compositional element?
Yeah, I was fascinated at that time about what you call the tree topping. Do you know what tree topping
No.
is? It's a common practice here where the tops are actually cut off to accommodate power lines.
Oh, I see. Oh, okay.
Yes, but then they're not really killing the trees, but the tree usually
it's like pruning. Right.
Sort of pruning, but you're completely cutting off the part. Not pruning that you're pruning the sides, but this one you're completely chopping apart, and what the tree compensates for it and actually grows these elaborate branches to try to compensate for the wound and the loss. So it's a common practice with a lot of I guess landscapers to you know, kind of humanely find a way to make a tree live as well as accommodate our power lines, but and try to harm it as little as possible. Of course, it wounds the trees, it traumatizes it, but you'll see the tree eventually will grow around it.
Sure.
And I don't know like what long-term damage it will be, but for me, some of them are just so strange looking and dramatic. So I think that's what I was very much interested on. So that's why you have these like strange growing branches in the side. So yeah. The same thing for this one.
Yeah, I noticed that too. Like there's the color. Like you highlighted the broken parts in this bright color. You know, it felt like that. It felt like you were kind of saying, you know, like this, like you're sort of affirming the wound in some way.
Yeah,
you know, showing it.
Combination. Combination of that, and I was really into Studio Ghibli movies.
Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah, can you talk about that inspiration?
Oh yeah, Princess Mononoke and Castle in the Sky, and the way how a lot of his films really there's this element of Shintoism where the divine or the otherworldly is in nature, it's in rocks, it's in trees. So I think I kind of look at forms that way too, that they're alive that way. So I think I still am in the last stretch of my Studio Ghibli fixation. But is he still alive? Maybe like Hayao Miyazaki.
Oh yeah, the Miyazaki.
He's still alive, right?
I think so. Yeah.
Is he still part of the Ghibli studio?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
So I should find out, probably because a big part of his drama is influenced by Princess Mononoke, and do you like that one too? Oh, it's like for me, I must have seen it so many times. It's kind of pivotal for me, like that film, and seeing how like the denuded forest, actually, the revenge of the denuded, or the gods of the forest, after we've extracted all power and resources from it, and it goes with a vengeance against human beings.
Oh, I see. Okay.
What?
Oh, so you're saying that the spirits of the forest go
The spirits of
take are will war with the humans, right? Or is that?
I'm not really at war, but they started to decay and become demons.
Oh, okay.
Because humans have started to wipe out the forest. They took out all the wood. They were burning the wood, and they were making firearms. The firearms to actually kill the spirits who are trying to get the forest back from the humans. So it's this cycle, and some spirits become demons because they've been so poisoned by the loss of the forest. And I mean, it's a very, very long. I don't know how long the film is, but it's a feature length, feature length animation. I think it's one of his best animation. So,
cool.
So I thought about it a lot, and whenever I'm in forests, I think about this idea of giving back, or trying to find a way to be in a more reconciliatory relationship with the natural world and our needs. And
so with this work, you think you're trying to give back to the forest in some way?
With this one,
not
as much, because back then I didn't really know what. For me, it was more magical. But then the more I think about it later on throughout the years, my work was more about this urgency now for us to kind of address our roles as stewards or as consumers.
So do you feel like you're documenting the forest then? Or are you trying to find a way to
in this stage, this was 2011, so this is more my enchanted period.
Yeah.
It's just going around the United States, knowing the different types of forests, between forests in the Northeast, forests in the Everglades are so different.
Sure.
The forests up like at 8,000 feet in the mountains, like in Wyoming. And then there's the coastal forests of the redwoods in California. Everything is so different. So for me, it's just a sense of wonder of like the different types of these terrains. And that's the mood I was in with these early works. And then the more I thought about it, the more I thought about our relationship with the natural surroundings, and that's when I arrived at the kind of drawings that I'm doing now.
Yeah. Cool. Can we move to this one here? This is really like a lovely work. Can you talk about this piece here?
Oh, this piece, this is what I made during grad school. It's the same work as the first one, the first painting that we talked about here. It's about remembering the trees we had in the Philippines, the native trees that we had, which is it's actually a tree with a strangler fin.
Right. I was gonna. What is the white part? You know.
It's the roots of the strangler fin. The strangler fin is a very, very common. I think it's a tree. It's a shrub in the Philippines. It's a parasitic.
Oh yeah, right. There's something similar here. I forget the name of it though. Maybe it's the same thing.
The banyan tree.
Something. Yeah.
There's something. Yeah, I forgot what it's called. But we have. It's very common in Southeast Asia. They'll have forests of it, and they're so dramatic, the roots. And I've always imagined what's it like if it can actually survive around here in these temperate parts.
Yeah. So it's interesting thing about like nature attacking itself. You know, with this piece, you know, like there's this parasitic part, right? You know, so that's kind of interesting.
Yeah, and now I do wonder what it actually is if it's a tree or not. So
Mm-hmm.
so I have to look to like Google that one.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, you work in a few different media. Can you kind of talk about that relationship between, as you said, video, drawing, painting? Like, how do you feel about your video work, since we haven't really touched on that yet?
Oh, the video works. Perhaps it's only natural that I went to video because a lot of the works that I have, I count on photography
Mm-hmm.
to as references.
Right,
I shoot
right.
a lot of these trees and forests, and if I'm not shooting them, I'm taking videos or I'm watching documentaries and anime. So I do collect a lot of footage, and so I think eventually I use the footage and I think about how else I can carry the message for the work. And I found video, like using time-based media, is kind of part of the process because after years of doing this, it becomes a journey.
Mm-hmm.
So it adds this narrative element to it if I've worked with animation and video. And I think it's something with putting them in a show together, it feels that it adds a different texture
Sure.
to it. Almost all the videos and animation have no sound, so I think sound is my next challenge and how I can actually incorporate that. So,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, let's move to one of the video pieces. We have that running up here. So this is an animation of your drawings, correct?
yes, actually I created the drawing to make this animation. The subject of this piece is actually a fallen tree that I encountered in Eagle Rock Reservation, which is in northern New Jersey, close to Montclair and West Orange. And this tree has been down from a winter storm, and I think it was until after a year that this tree had so much puffball mushrooms. It was infested with puffball mushrooms, and it was also my first encounter with puffball mushrooms, and I had so much fun just poking these little mushrooms, and I even did videos of these puffball mushrooms. And I mean, they're small. They're for me, they was magical because it was literally
right. Okay, yeah.
And I guess after living here so many years in the United States, I've never encountered these things. And so for me, that was just quite magical. And that's how I ended up with this animation of like this fallen tree that's giving back to nature.
Yeah, it's almost like the fallen tree is like growing. You know, that's interesting. Or is that like the reverse? You know, it's like almost
it's
like
going back and forth, growing,
right.
glowing, and
growing and decaying. And are those the puffballs?
Yeah, there's supposed to be the puffballs. The tree now, it's been 10 years. The tree is still there, but it's like it's amazing how long it takes for this tree to turn into it's hummus now.
Right,
so you see the part of the nature preserve. There's this red smear in the ground with still a few pieces of the bark because it's taking a long time for this forest to actually to just absorb it or to go back to the ground. So it's so I guess you could say I've been watching this tree disintegrate in the past 11 years.
Oh wow.
So to nothingness. At some point, I think also the magical part is because sometime during by visiting this tree, I would also see. At one time I saw, because when it fell, the trunk split open, and part of the bark peeled, not peeled completely, but still intact. That there's a space between the bark and the cadmium, like the wood inside. And one time I saw things, and I looked. There's like cigarettes, like unused cigarettes, there's a bottle of whiskey. So kids have been there, it's their magical place. It's my magical place
the hiding
with
place,
the buffalo
right.
mushrooms, but then in the evening, who knows, at the cover of darkness, it's the magical place also for these
love that.
teenagers.
Right. Oh.
And then it just got worse and worse because then there's beer bottles and there's more cigarettes and there's more. It just became messier and messier, and then nobody cleans it up. And then one time, like all the trash is gone, puffball mushrooms still. So throughout the years, I just saw this it wasn't just a magical place for myself, but then a lot of like young people actually. We never cross paths because I'm I'm an early morning person, so I do mine in the daytime, and other people will do their activities and secret sharing and bonding, most likely at night. So, at one point, I actually, I don't know when. I think maybe in 2017, I actually just gifted the tree a bottle of rum.
the bottle of rum tree?
Yeah, rum tree, because I'm just like, one of these kids came over and they said, oh, there's a bottle of rum. So I actually left something for the kids. So.
Magical.
So
that's great.
That's
I love it.
my little story of this fallen tree.
Yeah, the decayed tree.
Yeah.
Very nice. Yeah, we want to move into these smaller series here.
Oh, it's small series. So this is the newest of all the the works here. The one that's actually, like, these two are the newest. They're the ones that are, well, they're more about rocks than trees, but they're still part of the natural world that they share with trees. And this is an older piece. This is I did this in grad school.
Oh, okay.
So this is my one of the paintings that I showed during my thesis. So, and this is oil. And these two are, these two are oil and acrylic on canvas. So it's part of my ongoing, this examination of the natural world, and then but also working with paint and carefully working with paint. Yeah, like really a lot of taping and it's at some parts it's really thick and really thin, and it's still part of in that series of work I'm making during that time that I was still enchanted with the forest and the natural world and still in the process of thinking where my role is in it. For now, like these works, it's more really like just being in sense of wonder and awe of the surroundings. So that was a part of that ongoing series in 2013 through 2016.
It seems like that this is more the paint. These paintings are more about, like you said, like interesting, more about paint. Like they're, then, and the drawing seemed like more about like a subject, like the subject matter of the tree. I feel like this, right?
Yeah.
So I feel like there's a connection here. So, yeah, really lovely.
So this is the newer one. I guess we say that's the oldest.
Yeah, we can.
2010, and then this is the second, 2011.
Yeah, we'll end right here if you want to shift right over here. Katrina? Yeah, just a few more minutes. All right, let's get in there. All right, perfect.
Yes, yeah.
Perfect. All right. Yeah, so do you want to talk about this, the last part of the show here?
Sure. So this is these acrylic on panel. This is an early work as well, also made during grad school. So 2012, and then these two are did much later, and both of these are oil on canvas, and this is of these three. This is the one that's latest. This is made in like between 2015 and 2016. It's at that point when I was making these two later works. I may have made this around 2014. I was less thinking about trees in the Philippines and more thinking now about trees that I'm encountering here,
Mm-hmm.
without any reference of my experience of trees in the Philippines.
Oh, I see. So moved a little bit more
like
away from the spiritual, or
the spiritual. I was beginning to think more now about like the environment and about just like sustainable practices here, and thinking in our relationship to nature here.
Yeah.
So this one is also the same subject as tree topping.
Okay.
So I had this like spirit tree inside this tree.
Yeah.
So that's what I was thinking.
It's fascinating, and I love the composition of this too. It's like you have that. Like the way it was cropped.
It's very abstracted.
Right.
Well, I'm a student of Thomas Kautsky.
Yeah,
so,
right. This has that vibe to it. Yeah, for sure.
And then a student also of
Hanalina,
like that rich painterly. It's about paint and peddling.
Like the celebration of paint.
Celebration of paint, and paint as this. Paint as carries psychic weight, and that's something that I learned from Hanalina or think about often. And then with Tom, it's this relationship of forms and how how to put it together in this rectangle, in this I guess in the frame or the space.
It's like rigid space, yeah.
Yeah. So I think that painting probably embodies like everything that I've learned from Tom and Hanalina. And then
can you just say who is Tom and Hanalina?
Oh, so Thomas Kautsky was a professor of painting at Rutgers University, where I did my bachelor's, and then Hanalina Rogeberg is also a painting professor. Was also a painting. I think she still is. She teaches at the grad school at Rutgers in Mason Grove School of the Arts. So they were both advanced painting professors. Unfortunately, Tom has passed.
Just recently.
Probably during the pandemic, maybe or so. So, but these are like the professors that really like touched me, my practice, and also in consideration of like living a creative life. So these are the two professors that really helped form me in thinking about just visual culture.
Yeah. No, and I think you're right. Like I love both their work, and I feel like this is a hybrid, of Tom and Hanalina. Like that, this painting in particular, it feels like that. Like the way that both, I think they both think about painting. So yeah, it's beautiful.
Thank you.
All right. So I think it'd be a good idea to end on going back to your relationship to drawing versus painting. So how do you feel what is it about the connection that's interesting to you?
The connection
between drawing,
I know we were talking about that the painting seems more loose, whereas the drawing seems very tight. I guess, well, in drawing, for the drawings on paper, it's not just the size that feels loose, but the drawing, I don't have to prepare. I just pick up my materials and I get back with painting. I have to prepare the medium. I have to prepare this acrylic. I have to prepare the spray. There's so much preparation. There's so much. So by the time I get to the drawing, I may have lost, like, I don't want to say inspiration, but it's I lose that sense of getting lost in the work because of the medium. And then, interestingly, I'm already thinking about the 2-hour cleanup afterwards. And drawing is so easy. It just doesn't have that amount of preparation. I go straight into drawing, and then I lose myself in the subject. And because it's also so large, I feel that I can make as many mistakes in that vastness of a 5x8 piece of paper. That although for the viewer the finished work seems so exacting and so precise, for me it's all the marks of my freedom. And I always have in the back of my mind that I feel more free in my drawing because it's not painting, and painting seems to be so formal, it's so valuable, it's paint, it's collectible. nobody really takes drawing so seriously.
Right, and they should. You know, I think that's I honestly like that. Right, that's a very good point. You know,
I just have this feeling
why is
that, you know, like like people like just think, oh, it's drawing. I can erase this in one shot. So there's just something about, for me, it's like very humble, that it doesn't have the weight of, you know, like for me, the painting is more sellable, and galleries love it because they can sell it. There's just drawing like it, like it just seems to be an unfinished piece, and I think that's why for me, as exacting and as precise as the finished result actually feels to the viewer, it's for me, it's like an embodiment of freedom.
Wow.
Yeah, in like a couple of thousand tiny little exacting marks.
Right.
So.
Well, that's a terrific way to end. So thank you, Katrina, for a wonderful talk and an exhibition. So well done. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Frank.